You've got mail.
Erwin the lizard was just in his first year of life when one beautiful day he went for a walk. Now you must know that this does not mean that Erwin was still a little child. Compared to a human life, he must have been about 10 years old, because lizards develop much faster than us humans. When Erwin crawled through the woods during his walk, he met Hubertus, the eldest of the lizard village where he lived. Everyone respected Hubertus very much, because he had experienced a lot in his lizard life and knew every animal within a radius of 2 miles as the crow flies.
"Young man,"
cried Hubertus. Hesitantly, Erwin stopped. He had already heard a lot about Hubertus, but had never met him in person.
"Hello, Hubertus,"
Erwin said.
"I'd come over to you, but I can't move. What are you doing here?"
Surprised, Erwin said.
"Why can't you move? I'm going for a walk. Today is such a beautiful day."
"Oh, Erwin, can't you feel how cold it is? We lizards can hardly move when the temperature drops. Hibernation. Why exactly can you move?"
Erwin took a moment to think. He'd never heard that before. He was already quite grown up, but the lizard school didn't start for him until next month, and his parents talked a lot about others and hardly about themselves.
"I don't know. I just wanted to go for a walk, and then I did it. I didn't know that we lizards don't do that,"
he replied, because he wanted to show Hubertus respect. He felt terrible and hoped he hadn't upset the village eldest.
"In wintertime, all lizards go into hibernation and can't move for a long time. This is normal. But well, my boy, if it suits you, have a nice day, you lucky one,"
Hubertus called, and Erwin continued his walk. When he had crawled another mile, he suddenly noticed how his back legs became very heavy. He was overcome by a sudden tiredness and slowed down more and more until he suddenly stopped and decided to rest for a while. After a short nap, Erwin opened his eye, wanted to go on, and he couldn't. He couldn't move an inch. So this was what the old men had been talking about. Hibernation. It was crazy. Until a moment ago he hadn't known anything about it, and suddenly he felt heavy and tired. He thought about what he should do now. Obviously it was normal, and all lizards felt this way during the winter, so Erwin decided to wait and see. If every lizard was motionless, it couldn't be that bad. The days went by, and in the beginning, Erwin had a lot of fun lying around and lazing around the whole day. Now and then he greeted the crawling worms and spiders. He imagined the wildest stories about where they came from and where their way led them. He counted the plants around him and the leaves of the treetops. He made plans for his lizard future and thought about which places he would like to visit. And as much as he liked the ideas, the more often he thought,
I want to experience all that, but I want to do it now. When is this stupid hibernation going to end?"
He always got excited when he imagined how great life would be soon, sunny and energetic and full of fantastic adventures. Then, his little lizard heart started beating faster and faster, and he seemed to be vibrating all over his body, almost tasting the happiness, only to find out that he was still in hibernation and had no chance to move, or even realize any of his plans at the moment. And that made Erwin very unhappy, because even if you sometimes didn't have a choice but to be satisfied with what you get, the great lizard master had once said this: Erwin just didn't want to accept his condition. He found it terrible to be immobile, but there was nothing he could do. Lizards were in a state of hibernation during the cold months. That was a fact. So how could he not be? One morning, when another long, bleak, gray day lay ahead of him, he suddenly saw something bigger than all the flying and crawling creatures walking by. It was still a good distance away from him, gray, and moving towards him with heavy steps. When this something was almost in front of him, Erwin was amazed. It was a lizard. A real lizard. A lizard like him and Hubertus and all his lizard friends. And it moved.
Hey!
Erwin shouted fervently.
Stop right there!
The lizard looked up and stopped in front of Erwin.
What's up?
You're a lizard.
Erwin was so bewildered that he couldn't say anything else.
Good thinking, Sherlock. Was that all you wanted to ask me? Because I already knew that, but thank you anyway. I got to go.
The lizard turned to walk, but Erwin couldn't let her go now. He was eager to know if the winter numbness was maybe over, and if so, what he had to do to be able to move himself again.
Wait, stop! No, How can you move?
Well, honestly, how many more stupid things are you going to ask me?
No, I mean, it's hibernation time. Hubertus the Wise told me that. And ever since he did, I stopped moving as well. But you can move. Is hibernation over? Oh, please help me. I'm so unhappy. I want to be able to move again.
Erwin was desperate, but the other lizard shook her head laughing.
Who told you that?
Well, Hubertus. He knows everything. All lizards are immobile at the moment. I guess he wondered why I could move, but I got hit a little later, too.
The lizard looked at him with a straight face.
You were able to move. Then you meet this Hubertus who tells you that normally, like everyone else, you should be in a state of hibernation. And not a day later you're stuck here.
Not a day later. That's what happened.
The lizard didn't say anything, and Erwin had the feeling that he had to fill the silence.
I find this state terrible. How do I get rid of it?
After a short break, the lizard said,
Just move.
Erwin looked at the other lizard in shock. Just move? Ha ha! That was the stupidest thing he'd ever heard. Just move. How would that work? Hubertus said that it was normal that nobody could move in winter, so how was Erwin supposed to move again?
Look,
said the lizard, seeing that Erwin didn't quite know what to say.
I'm a lizard, just like you. Of course I know about the whole hibernation thing. And of course it is normal for us lizards in winter. But let me ask you something. You were able to move normally before, right?
Erwin nodded.
It's only since you found out about the hibernation that you can't move, right?
Erwin nodded again.
But you see that I can move, right?
Yeah, Erwin saw that.
So you too can move.
The lizard explained emphatically.
For most lizards, it's normal to lie down for the winter and do nothing. Most lizards never question this, and so they waste a large part of their lives trying to get along with the situation without knowing that they have their life in their own hands. Just because this wise Hubertus said that it's normal not to move in winter doesn't mean that you can't do it anyway.
Huh? I don't get it,
Erwin said.
But I really can't move.
You can do it, you're just not trying. Believe it or not, and you can believe it, because I am truly standing before you. I too believed for one winter that hibernation and all this stiffness was normal. But seeing the same thing day after day, not being able to move for months, that did not make me happy. So I decided to just move. And lo and behold, it worked. No lizard in the whole world can tell you what you're capable of and what you're not. And just because every other lizard goes immobile in the winter doesn't mean you have to. It's your choice. And I am a living example of that.
Then, Erwin understood what the lizard meant. Even if old Hubertus believed that hibernation existed, that didn't mean that it also had to be a part of Erwin's life. Because before he knew about the hibernation and all of the stiffness, he was able to move normally. The lizard was right. How could he have not thought about that? Full of enthusiasm, Erwin began to slowly move one leg, then the second, then the third, and finally, all 4 of his little legs. It cracked and creaked, and also hurt quite a bit, so much that he cursed the lizard for a short time and wanted to fall back into hibernation. But after a few hours, he had done it. It was winter, and Erwin started moving again.